summons raptors.
Alignment set.
Of the many games I was excited for this year, Exoprimal is probably my least expected. After its unveiling at Sony's March 2022 State of Play, many thought Dino Crisis had returned. The sheer range of dinosaurs and a Regina lookalike fueled that assumption even further. Then the mech suits and floating AI were showcased, and things only got more confusing. When the title card and platforms dropped, there was still some hope that this was related to Capcom's cult classic survival horror series. However, it was eventually clarified that this wasn't a new Dino Crisis game. No connection, no relation, nada. To top it off, Capcom talked about the title as a new live service game. With how negative the trend had been and continues to be received, it was more than a little surprising that the immensely successful publisher had chosen to go down this path. Nevertheless, when I finally got my hands on Exoprimal in the closed beta, I was pleasantly surprised. Was it trying to reinvent the co-op shooter genre? No, but it did offer some fast-paced mindless fun with a healthy variety of exosuits, some challenging dinosaurs, and great combat. Of course, it was a beta, so there was the hope that Capcom would clean up several things and deliver even more content. Opting out of PvP as the final mission also seemed like a good addition. In my heart, I had hoped that the PvEvP aspect wasn't the only thing the game had going on, that there was a decent amount of customization, and the final game would have missions with a lot more variety with a story that was intriguing, if not necessarily well written. More than anything, I was optimistic that the progression wouldn't be a mess due to Battle Pass and loot boxes. Cut to several months later, and Exoprimal has received a middling response. There are some positive reviews, with the Xbox Series X and S version having a 70 Metascore. However, plenty of negative reviews abound, with many criticizing the disjointed campaign and repetitive gameplay of the PvEvP approach. It's a mixed bag, and I found way too much hampering the experience. The story felt throwaway with some awful dialogue, the objectives felt samey and repetitive. PvP was still very much a thing even if you chose PvE due to the dominators that enemy players could invade with. Maps were dull and constrained you to a fixed path or location. The list goes on. I've seen comparisons to Earth Defense Force and how you really need to play with friends to have fun. They seemingly forgot that A, Exoprimal, even when played solo, is played with teams by default and still managed to be dull and repetitive, and B, Earth Defense Force gives you more weapons, options, and interesting scenarios. Plus, you can freely move around the gigantic map and do your thing, even if it involves squashing hundreds upon hundreds of enemies. I noted this in my review of Exoprimal, but it feels like a paid version of Destiny 2's Gambit, which also crumbled due to the mix of PvEvP and the balance issues that brought. Nevertheless, Exoprimal's existence is baffling. Why would Capcom okay a live service title, especially with a winning franchise like Monster Hunter with its post-launch title updates, or compelling single-player games? Street Fighter VI provided a resurgence for the series and offers fun single-player modes, and World Tour with excellent online battles. On the other hand, it also had remasters like Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which sold over 1 million units, and the critically acclaimed Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Even if the company is willing to sink before it ever remakes or remasters Dino Crisis, it could have brought back Lost Planet. Release remasters or remake all three titles, and incorporate online co-op support with some new features. Lo and behold, you have a series of fun third-person shooters with some potential for post-launch support. If it really takes off, you can look to support them in the longer term. Of course, for those keeping track of Capcom's other multiplayer-only titles over the years, Exoprimal probably isn't that surprising. This is the same company that released Umbrella Corps, ended up being one of the worst games ever made. It also recently released Resident Evil Resistance, an asymmetrical multiplayer title, and Resident Evil Reverse, a competitive multiplayer game set in the universe. So this isn't the company's first brush with such projects ranging from underwhelming to awful. Exoprimal clearly had more resources put into it based on the production values. Some missions are undoubtedly good and paint a picture of what a regular co-op title could have offered. So why did Capcom go in the PvEvP direction with invasion mechanics? Why didn't it just create a story-focused third-person shooter with AI squad mates and co-op support? Aside from it costing more resources and someone on the team really liking Destiny 2's Gambit, it's hard to say. No reports of troubled development or other issues circulated leading up to the release. Sure enough, there's a feeling that for all intents and purposes, this is the game that Capcom wanted to release. For all we know, this could have been the plan, with Capcom planning a few seasons ahead and then taking a call afterwards to see if Exoprimal is still profitable. Not entirely uncommon for live service titles from publishers in Japan. Look at all the mobile games that Square Enix shut down over the past year or so, from Just Cause Mobile, which didn't even get a chance to release, to others. Bandai Namco's Gundam Evolution is another example, as it shuts down roughly a year after its launch on consoles. If support ends by the next year for Exoprimal, it would be a shame. It's completely online, so unlike Monster Hunter Rise or World, there's no hope that the fans can continue enjoying the content they paid for. Time will tell if that actually happens. However, as we've seen with live service games over the years, without a constant flow of content and reinventions, it's hard to keep track with Destiny 2, The Division 2, Fortnite, and so on. Whether Capcom goes down its trademark route of releasing a paid expansion after numerous free title updates remains to be seen. For now, it hasn't announced anything significantly game-changing for Exoprimal, which further lends credence to this being a 1 to 2 year long project at best. As always, plans could change, but even if it fulfills all of the company's targets for the short term, it's the long term that remains a constant threat. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.